Hi, good morning. This is Gayatri Jayaraman. Welcome to Shamaha. Those of you who log in every day, really nice to see you. I hope this is of benefit to you. And those of you who are new, welcome. I hope you find something here that will help you as you go along. Today, I wanted to talk about our association with food, the ways in which we use food as control. So, all of you know we have this, love-hate relationship with food. We love it, but we hate what it does to us. And sometimes we mean to go on a diet, we mean to fast, we mean to be very controlled and healthy about our eating, but it just doesn't pan out. So, I wanted to talk about the ways in which we control food and food controls us. Okay. To begin with, let's talk about food at the time of our births. Um, when we are born, there are only two things we control: what we put in and what we put out. In as such, we don't even control that, right? It's just happening to us. But those are the 2 points at which we begin to learn what control is. And in time, the early experiences of how we take in food, how regular, how demanding we are, how we get what we want when we want it, um, control defines what is control for us throughout our lives. So this is the point at which we first begin our relationship with food. Okay. So the first point of understanding of what food is that food is control. Whether we get it, whether we don't get it, whether somebody gives it to us, whether we are giving it to somebody, this is a very primal manifestation of control. The second aspect is the associations that develop around that control, right? So if you're a bad boy, you won't get dinner, or you can't get up from your plate until you finish this thing that you don't like. These are all exertions of control over us by our parents. And the ways in which we play them out through tantrums, through denial. For instance, I won't eat my lunchbox. What can you do? You give me a lunchbox of something I don't like, I'm going to take it to school and I'm going to bring it back uneaten. Some of you will notice that this also plays out in adulthood, where our mothers are trying to get us to eat something and we're like, no, I don't want to eat it. And this becomes a play of control, of give and take. Who has the control? Who's taking back the control? Who's exerting the control? These are all aspects that sort of play out. And there are multiple associations. For some of us, it's joy, right? It's dinner together with the family. It can be anger. It can be we are forced to eat. It can be boredom. So we all begin to associate certain emotions with food, and by association with a sense of control. So therefore, later in life, when we say, I'm eating my feelings, right? What is it? We are basically trying to regain control over our lives through the medium of what we eat, what is accessible to us, what is cooked, prepared, who gives it to us, where we get it from, right? So this is why in a lot of homes, when the woman of the house doesn't have control over too much around her, the kitchen becomes really, really important, because the control over the kitchen, the groceries, how it's done, that's if that's the only thing she can control, then she still controls a lot in the house. So this is why we transition from bahu to sas also becomes problematic, because that means the mother-in-law is giving up a sense of control over her space. And therefore, when you take over that control from her, it can also be like, then what are you leaving her with? What does she control? And therefore, her overt expressions of control begin to play out over you in what you can do, what you cannot do. Um, in some bizarre cases, even when you should have children, or what you can wear, or where you can go, and who you can talk to, because the fear or the insecurity is triggered by giving up some dominion of control over the kitchen, which is therefore translates to control over food, which means a very primal control over the members of the household. So this is the way in which associations around food build up. And let me give you some examples of how this plays out. Say you're an adult and you go home once in a while, maybe weekends, maybe once a month, you see your parents, and there's an argument. There are things you want to do, they don't want you to do it. And typically the conversation will come to, okay, let's not argue, let's have lunch and then we'll discuss it. When the act of having lunch is inserted within an argument to soothe tempers, to calm things down, that is an implicit insertion of control over the proceedings. Okay, it is postponing, stalling, but it is also regaining control. Also, when you have sat down and had that meal and enjoyed yourself, your mood is mellower. You're feeling happy. Typically, it will be your favorite items, and then your conversation will, the power dynamic of the conversation will have changed post lunch, because now mom is in control. So that's how it works. For all you moms out there who might be doing this, I'm not saying it's overt, it's manipulative. It's just a subconscious method by which uh, it's the push and pull. It's a natural, very organic give and take of the dynamic of control and power within a relationship, between two people within a family. So it's very natural, it's very subconscious, and many times it's even just people are just not aware that they are doing this. But this is why we end up with so many issues around food, right? So there are so many associations, there's so many power dynamics, and there's so many aspects of control that are sort of enmeshed with it, and it's so primal that it's very hard to disentangle from that. So when you say, I'm going on a diet, from today I'm not going to eat this, the thing is, you cannot dissociate from a diet until you've dissociated from the feeling. And this brings me to the next point, which is that if you want to break your food patterns, you first have to break the associations that are linked with it. So, what are the associations of control over your food? What does food control in you? Who comes to mind? So, whenever we are eating, what we are feeding ourselves is a feeling, is a cognition, is a hedonism. Okay, so food can be associated with our thoughts, it can be associated with our emotions, it can be associated with this feeling of luxury, of having, of abundance. These are three main aspects in which food plays out. It's also influenced by economic situations, availability, environment, culture. So many aspects influence what we eat, when we eat, how we eat. But within our control, these three are the main ones. So it would be good to sort of examine what you're saying to yourself, the language you use to yourself when you reach out for food. Are you saying, I need this? When you say, I need to eat this, I need a bar of chocolate, I need a drink, what are you saying to yourself? You're not saying you need that specific drink or that specific bar of chocolate. What you're saying is, I need to feel in control. I need to feel the way I felt when I used to have this food. So when you say, I really feel like having kheer, what you're saying is, I really want to feel that festivity, that sense of home, mother being around. There are certain aspects that every food sort of brings up for us. Um, because even that association, why do we want to feel that sense of home? Say grandmother is making something, we were children, we were not in charge, the responsibility wasn't on us, the blame wasn't on us, we didn't have to know what to do, we could leave it to others, we could abdicate our sense of frustration, blame, doom, all of it. And so it sort of goes back to those aspects that we are trying to recreate, though very, very subconsciously, it's not always conscious. Similarly, certain foods hold fascination for us because of the trips that we've taken and we've had them on. It could be that I was in this country on my honeymoon and then I had this food and now it means a lot to me. Though, the marriage is long gone, it could be that I'm still associating a sense of happiness, of impending prosperity, of a good future with that particular food, which is also why they say typically your favorite wine will be the first wine that you've ever had. So if you want to break your uh, food patterns, you want to start eating healthy, you want to stick to a diet, um, you maybe want to switch from eating red meats to vegan foods. You first have to break the associations with those foods. It won't do to say, I'm just not going to eat this. You need to say, I'm going to change what this food means to me. And then you'll notice your language about the food changes. So let's say a chocolate bar, right? I for instance, in my childhood, I used to have a certain bar of chocolate every time uh, we took a flight back to India. So the Toblerone becomes very associated with travel. So every time I get on a flight, even today, I tend to buy a Toblerone. Even if I don't eat it on the flight, I just tend to buy it and put it in my bag. And for some reason, for a whole lot of people, Toblerone has become associated with flights. Now, if there is no other point in time at which I go and pick up a Toblerone. So, what is the association of that food for you, and how can you change it? One is by consciously inserting ways. I'm just using the Toblerone and the flight as an example. It could be, a McDonald's. It could be that you used to pick up every day on your way to college, and therefore it sort of represents a carefreeness. Um, so it could be that you're in corporate life, and every time you're passing by a McDonald's, and you're really stressed out, you feel the urge to stop and snack on that. So it means something to you. So first figure out what that means to you and start to change that association. What about every time you were stressed out, you went and consciously picked up a specific smoothie, right? And do this, it will take some time to rewire that habit. So every time you say, I feel the urge for this McDonald's, but wait a minute, let me go first pick up this smoothie, or let me go first pick up X, maybe a bowl of muesli, maybe a granola bar, something that's healthy, something you want to switch to. And when you consciously build it in, and then initially it's going to be hard. So say to yourself, after I've had that, if I still feel like having the McDonald's, I'm going to have it. It could just be 3 glasses of water, time it, measure it, and say, I'll finish 3 glasses of water. If the feeling lingers, then I'll go for it. When you do this, you put in some distance between yourself and the craving. You're building in a secondary habit that you are diverting your attention to, and slowly you do this. It's not going to happen overnight, but you build this over a period of around a month, 2 months. You'll find after the third month, the association is broken. So this is one way to break the association. The second thing is also to understand that sometimes when we go on diets or when we fast, we assume that the goal is not to feel hunger. And here's the thing, control over a food habit is not about not feeling the craving, it's about not reacting to the craving, right? So you can feel hunger, you just don't have to go and eat. And that happens when you feel a sense of control over yourself. And when you feel a sense of control over yourself, the craving no longer has control over you. You're no longer puppet to the want and the need. So man has evolved long past eating for hunger, right? We there was a time when we ate once a day. We didn't know where the next meal would come from. You had to forage, store, hunt. We're not there anymore, right? We are at a space where food is available for our hunger. It's for what we are feeding. That food is sometimes not available, that we have to order in for. So when you shift the focus to controlling the food to controlling yourself, your need, your impulse, your craving, and regaining a sense of control over your own life, when you take the power back from the associations linked with food, you'll automatically find your food habits fall into place. So I hope this helps you. I know this is a subject that, has a lot of triggers for a lot of people. So let me know how it goes for you. Do leave questions, comments, suggestions. And a lot of you have not yet subscribed. Please do subscribe. It really helps. It kicks up the algorithm, I believe. And, it'll just help more people sort of get the information that they need. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to me on a daily basis. I hope